The odds of winning the lottery are less than getting killed by a falling meteor, but it can be hard to resist when a $1 ticket could change your life. Or so you think. Here's what the lottery doesn't want you to know.
Let's get this out of the way. You're probably not gonna win. The odds are insane.
The lottery is already a tricky subject since it seems to be a legal form of gambling. In states where gambling is illegal but the lottery is totally fine, they get away with it by claiming the lotto is a form of entertainment. It's not gambling. People just like spending money to potentially win a prize, but otherwise mostly lose their cash because it's such a fun game. But when it comes to actual games, well, you don't see too many people sifting through the garbage for misplaced Monopoly cards.
And the last number for the $26 million jackpot, 15!
It's fairly common for people to go through the garbage searching for winning tickets that got thrown out by mistake. Edward St. John was an 83-year-old man known for going through the town's garbage when one day he finally found a winning $1 million ticket. Of course, when that happened, another man claimed the ticket, saying he tossed it by accident. When that man died before the hearing, his family took up the suit, and St. John ended up settling for a mere $140,000. Then there was Ed Rader, whose hobby was going through the clean garbage looking for discarded scratch tickets when he found a big winner. He used his winnings to pay off some debts. Then he started buying more scratch-offs, starting with the dollar ones, then moving up to fivers until it was all gone. According to Matthew Sweeney's The Lottery Wars, he had a delayed come-to-Jesus realization, saying, "This is one hell of an addiction."
It's a lot of me. 1, 6, 17, 22, 24, 35.
States continue to run their lottery programs because they consider it a harmless way to make money, or so they claim. Who doesn't want to give money to education and possibly win millions of dollars, right? Nobody's forced to buy a ticket, and what difference does a dollar here or there really make? But a dollar doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, and those dollars add up quickly when they're spent in the desperate hope to get out of poverty.
Show me the money!
In a 2014 article, The Atlantic reported that, in the 43 states that run the lottery, citizens spent $70 billion on tickets. That's more than all other forms of entertainment. But the spending isn't distributed equally among the economic classes. For example, The Atlantic reported that, in North Carolina, the poorest counties had the highest lotto sales, writing, "Out of the 20 counties with poverty rates higher than 20%, 18 had lottery sales topping the statewide average of $200 per adult."
It's the first, so I had to pay rent. So this is all I have left. So God, please let me win.
Those with the least amount of money to spend are happily handing it over to the government in a Hail Mary attempt to change their lives. And the government knows this. They're not unaware that they're offering a nearly unattainable dream to their state's less fortunate. In fact, they capitalize on that knowledge. The lottery is more actively advertised in poor communities in order to raise their hopes of landing the ultimate big win.
I'm rich! I'm rich! I'm rich!
So the lotto preys on the poor, and the states all know this. Do they care? Not enough. There's no way the states are giving up their lotteries anytime soon. In 2009, 11 states made more money from their lotteries than they did from corporate income taxes. In Rhode Island, the lotto brought in more than twice as much. The smallest state would have a hard time turning all that money down. What would they do? Raise taxes on the rich?
When the jackpot hits 2 million and nobody gets 6 numbers, then the whole jackpot rolls down to the people who got 3 or 4, whatever.
Even when the lottery pays out, anyone who wins more than $600 has the privilege of paying a 45% tax on their winnings. It turns out the temporarily rich don't get the same breaks the generationally rich enjoy, but at least for a moment, they can imagine themselves alongside the country club set, whining about how much money the government takes from them. Okay, the odds aren't great, and the wrong people are targeted, but at least lotto winners get their winning moment when they cash in their tickets, right? Of course not. Lottery retailers scam people all the time, and it's a pretty simple con. They just lie. Retailers often take a winner's ticket and say, "This isn't a winner." If the ticket holder doesn't have proof of the winning numbers or generally doesn't want to get in a fistfight with a convenience store employee, they'll leave assuming they made a mistake. Then the retailer keeps the ticket and cashes in for themselves.
Your ticket bad. You draw in the lines.
What are you talking about, B?
You draw in the lines with a pencil. I know about this.
California's had a big problem with thieving salesmen. So much so that they've conducted sting operations on retailers where customers have complained. The undercover cop gives the clerk a marked ticket and arrests them when they try to claim the winnings. Sure, it's not bringing down a drug cartel, but as far as affecting some people's daily lives, that cop is making a difference by slowing down the scamming. People don't just get hooked on the regular pick-your-numbers lottery. Scratch-offs are huge business, and some customers assume that since the payouts are much smaller, the chances of winning are better. But no, all lottery chances are horrible. In New York, the scratch-off with the biggest payoff gives 88 cents per dollar. This $30 win $1 million a life for year ticket is so good, you'll only lose $3.60 every time you play. That's still a lot better than the Lucky Tripler, a not-so-lucky dollar scratch-off that pays out just 59 cents on the dollar. Most of the scratch-offs in the $1 to $10 range pay off around 61 cents per dollar, making them a truly horrible investment. Plus, you get all that weird silver junk under your fingernails.
This is a matter of time before I'm broken alone, sitting on a milk crate outside a mini-mart with a beard covered in scratch-off lottery ticket shavings.
Since participation in lottery sales is voluntary, if a convenience store owner has any moral qualms with the game, they don't have to sell tickets. But while that's technically true, not doing so would mean a potential loss of 30 to 40% in sales. Gas stations and convenience stores rely on the allure of a lottery ticket to bring in customers. Once inside, they're more likely to buy other impulse items like coffee, Twinkies, and suspicious sushi. Without lottery tickets, people are less likely to use the store.
Doesn't look like much.
Well, all we need is a ticket machine, right?
Plus, if the store sells a winning ticket, they get a commission from the state, which is a nice bit of free money. Then the shop's new status as a lucky retailer gives the store a 12 to 38% boost in sales as everyone tries to nab some of that luck for themselves. If convenience store sales are tied so closely to the lotto, you would think they'd suffer pretty badly during a recession, right? Not right. In fact, lotto sales typically go up as unemployment rises. In Chicago and Indiana, lottery ticket sales were highest in the counties with the lowest employment rates. At the worst point of the 2008 recession, 22 of the 42 states with lotteries had record sales. Yep, huge sales are made from capitalizing on people's desperate fears for their financial future.
This is my day to win.
With state lotto slogans like "All it takes is a dollar and a dream," the states are feeding on hope. Garrick Blaylock, a Cornell University economist, explained, "Looking at historical data, there has been a trend of lottery ticket sales moving in tandem with economic conditions. A very likely explanation is that when people are feeling desperate, they are more likely to stop by the gas station and buy 5 lottery tickets, hoping they get a big windfall. It makes sense that people suddenly without jobs and severely devalued homes would start investing their precious cash in the lottery. What doesn't make sense is that states would be cool with getting half their income from the citizens who are most in need. If the government called the lotto by its proper name, sales wouldn't be soaring, because the lottery should be called a tax. As soon as people hear the word tax, they close their wallets and get out their voting pencils to do everything they can to keep the government away from their money. But the lottery could change your life. People will happily fork over their money for that.
You're nearly 300 times more likely to be struck by lightning, or nearly 80 times more likely to be bitten by a shark.
The lottery and taxes aren't exactly the same. It would be a lot more enjoyable to do your taxes every year if there was a number drawing at the end of it. And income taxes aren't voluntary. No one will haul you off to jail Wesley Snipes style if you don't buy a lotto ticket. But the government directly profits from the game. The biggest reason the lottery exists is because it makes so much money, specifically for education in most states. But instead of an income tax, where the government gets paid proportionately to what people make, the lottery taxes the poor by a very high margin. A Carnegie Mellon study found that lotteries set off a vicious cycle that not only exploits low-income individuals' desires to escape poverty, but also directly prevents them from improving upon their financial situations.
We'd like to buy 8,000 windfall tickets.
So, states may be increasing their cash flow, but they're doing it by keeping poor people poor. Okay, so the lottery's not good for poor people, but it's helping schools, so we can't get rid of it. Think of the children. The California lottery alone raised $1.39 billion and gave $97 million to the Los Angeles Unified School District for the 2014-2015 school year. What's the downside? It turns out there's a big one. Though many states say they're giving the lottery money to specific causes like education or environmental protection, the money often goes into the general state fund. From there, it can be used for anything, and the lottery's pet causes may see nothing at all from the millions of dollars.
This money will go to partially cover the cost of a study to decide what to do with the money.
But some states do make sure lotto money is specifically allocated for a particular cause. Unfortunately, that means legislators can factor all that sweet lottery cash into the budget and allocate fewer government funds. In the end, education spending stays exactly the same or gets worse. According to Patrick Pierce, political scientist, given a few years, a state would have spent more on education without a lottery. In 2015, California received a C- grade for its schools in an Education Week study and placed 41st in the country in the category of having conditions that help children succeed. Looks like that $1 billion isn't making a big difference.
How does a Mercedes sound?
Vroom vroom.
Very clever. I'll get you two.
Even if everything else is bad about it, at least the lottery gives a new lease on life to the few lucky ones that defy the odds and win millions. Except, people who've been poor their whole life often don't do well with a sudden fortune.
The first emotion is joy, but not far behind is a vague sense of panic.
Forbes reports that a third of lottery winners end up bankrupt, and many more suffer from increased rates of depression, divorce, and suicide. That's because such a huge amount of cash is inconceivable to most people. When you can now buy everything you've ever dreamed of, you're going to start spending. They buy houses, cars, invest poorly, and give too much away to friends without realizing the tax ramifications of their generosity. Soon enough, the money is gone.
I declare bankruptcy!
That's not to say that every lottery winner throws all their earnings away, but a lot of them do. Billy Bob Harrell Jr. is a sad example of winning gone wrong. Harrell won $31 million. He took his family on a trip to Hawaii, bought his loved ones houses and cars, and donated lots to the church. But people started harassing him for money. He took a bad deal with a shady lump sum payment company, and after his wife left him, he said, "Winning the lottery is the worst thing that ever happened to me." Ultimately, Harrell took his own life. And it's hard not to wonder how differently things might have gone if he'd never won the lottery.